Imagine a world where suffering has been eradicated. No hunger, no pain, no boredom. A world where, at any moment, you can reach out and experience joy. Sounds perfect, right? But here's the question no one dares to ask. What if this perfection is not freedom, but enslavement? In Brave New World, Aldous Huxley envisioned a society where people were controlled not by fear, but by pleasure. The state didn't need prisons. It had soma, a drug that numbed discontent. And the terrifying part? The people welcomed it. They smiled as they handed over their souls for the promise of constant contentment. Fast forward to today. We don't have soma, or do we? Maybe it's not a pill anymore. Maybe it's a scroll, a notification, a sale, a sweet, a dopamine hit wrapped in likes, hearts, and views. Maybe what enslaves us today isn't a dictatorship, but a distraction. We live in the age of micro-pleasures. Everything is optimized to feel good. Fast food, short-form content, instant replies, next-day delivery. We've traded depth for speed and meaning for convenience. And while it feels like we're in control, choosing what we like, watching what we want, the truth is we are being led by algorithms that know us better than we know ourselves. These systems don't just know your preferences, they shape them. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were truly alone with your thoughts? Not bored, not entertained, just present? When was the last time you endured a moment of discomfort without immediately reaching for your phone, a snack, or some kind of stimulation? We're not chained to walls, but we're chained nonetheless. Chained to cravings, to compulsions, to the need for stimulation. And like Huxley warned, the most powerful form of control is the one you don't even realize you're under. Because here's the terrifying truth. If you're always comfortable, you may never notice you're not free. This isn't just philosophy. This is your life. And if we don't wake up, if we don't learn to sit in discomfort, to seek meaning instead of numbing, we'll end up living like the citizens of Huxley's dystopia, content, pacified, and empty. So ask yourself, are you pursuing joy, or are you being sedated? And if the answer unsettles you, good, because that's the beginning of awakening. Let's talk about something uncomfortable, but deeply real. The more you chase happiness, the faster it runs. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. Here's how it works. You desire something, a new phone, a vacation, a job title. You get it. It feels amazing for a moment. But before long, the high fades. You adapt. You want something else. You run and run. But no matter how fast or far you go, you always return to the same emotional baseline. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it never feels full. And yet, we keep trying. We tell ourselves, just one more thing, just one more fix. Then I'll feel better. But we never stop to ask, what if the problem isn't the thing, but the chase itself? Think about your own life. That time you bought something expensive, only to feel empty days later. That vacation you planned for months, but soon after, it just became another memory. That relationship that started like fireworks and ended in silence. It's not because those things were meaningless. It's because we expected them to save us, to fix the internal ache with external pleasures. But here's the truth. You cannot outrun your own emptiness. You cannot consume your way to contentment. Every time we chase pleasure to avoid discomfort, we reinforce the belief that we're not okay unless we feel good. And that is dangerous, because life doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it's boring, sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's silent. And that's not a problem. That's part of being human. But the hedonic treadmill teaches us to fear stillness, to escape reality, to avoid ourselves. It turns pleasure into addiction. It turns happiness into performance. It turns life into a race with no finish line and no rest. So ask yourself, are you really living, or just endlessly reaching for the next moment you think will finally make you feel enough? Because maybe what you need isn't more. Maybe what you need is to stop running, to step off the treadmill, and finally stand still long enough to feel who you are without distraction. In today's world, your most valuable asset is not your money. It's not your time. It's your attention. We live in a world where companies wage billion-dollar wars just to keep your eyes on a screen for a few more seconds. The longer you stay, the more ads they show, the more data they collect, the more they profit. Welcome to the attention economy, a system where your focus is the currency and you're the commodity. Think about it. Why is it so hard to stop scrolling? Why do you open your phone for one thing and end up lost in content you didn't even want to see? Because it's not random. It's designed that way. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they don't just show you content. They study you. They learn what colors keep you watching, what sound hooks your ear, what triggers make you pause. Then, like a slot machine, they deliver pleasure in unpredictable intervals. This trick, called intermittent variable reward, is the same technique used in casinos to get gamblers addicted. Every notification, every red dot, every buzz, it's a psychological nudge, not for your benefit, for theirs. You're not consuming content, you're being consumed. And here's the most frightening part. This constant flood of stimulation doesn't just distract you, it reprograms you. You become impatient. You lose your ability to focus. You feel anxious in silence. You crave more, even when more makes you miserable. This isn't freedom. This is behavioral manipulation at scale. So the next time you just check your phone and suddenly 45 minutes vanish, understand that was never your decision. It was a system's design working perfectly. Ask yourself, how much of your life have you given away in 5-second doses of pleasure? In the pursuit of pleasure, something sacred is lost. We lose the silence, the stillness, the space where creativity is born, where self-reflection thrives, where deep thoughts take root. We lose our inner life. Today we live wider but not deeper. We touch everything but grasp nothing. We know countless facts, trends, memes. But ask us what we believe, who we are, or what we live for, and we're silent. Because distraction doesn't just fill our time, it empties our soul. We stop reading books. We stop writing. We stop asking real questions. We stop sitting with pain long enough to learn from it. Relationships suffer. We talk at each other instead of with each other. Conversations are interrupted by phones. Moments are ruined by the urge to document instead of experience. And what about our goals, our dreams? How many projects have you left unfinished because it was easier to watch someone else chase theirs? We begin to live secondhand lives, reacting, not creating, consuming, not contributing. But perhaps the greatest loss is this: we forget what real joy feels like. Not the quick hit of a notification, but the slow, earned satisfaction of growth. Not the thrill of impulse, but the pride of self-discipline. Not surface-level happiness, but deep, soul-rooted fulfillment. When we numb every uncomfortable emotion, we also dull the beautiful ones. When we chase constant ease, we become too fragile for the weight of real life. And over time, we become strangers to ourselves. So pause, breathe, and ask, what part of me have I neglected in the name of pleasure? Now that we see the trap, how do we escape? The answer isn't to renounce all pleasure. It's not to move into the woods, abandon technology, or become a monk. Though sometimes that sounds tempting. The answer is simpler and harder. Awareness, intentionality, discipline. Start with awareness. Recognize what truly brings you joy and what simply numbs you. Learn the difference between a tool and a trap, between what you choose and what's chosen for you. Then act deliberately. Turn off notifications. Schedule time for silence. Replace 30 minutes of doom scrolling with 30 minutes of reading, stretching, journaling. Delete the app you can't live without and see what happens. Choose one thing to focus on fully each day. Just one. It won't be easy. Your brain will rebel. Your cravings will scream. But every time you resist, you reclaim something sacred. Your focus, your energy, your presence. And the more you resist, the more you remember that life was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be meaningful. It's in discomfort that you find your strength. It's in silence that you hear your own voice, and it's in purpose, not pleasure, that you finally feel free. So escape, not from pain, but from the false paradise that makes you forget who you are. We used to fear chains. Now, we embrace them. In the past, people resisted being controlled. They fought against rulers who demanded obedience. But today, control has changed its form. It doesn't come with force. It comes with comfort. We're told we're free because we can buy what we want, watch what we like, order food in seconds. But what if that's not freedom? It's dependency. Every app that saves us time also takes something from us. Every gadget that thinks for us also weakens us. Every convenience we celebrate slowly erodes our ability to stand on our own. And the worst part? It feels good. We're addicted to ease, to being catered to having the world revolve around our preferences. And just like a muscle that's never used, our ability to endure, to adapt, to think deeply begins to atrophy. Aldous Huxley didn't fear tyranny through brutality. He feared tyranny through pleasure. He warned of a world where people would love their servitude because it felt so damn nice. And that's exactly where we are. We trust algorithms more than our instincts. We'd rather follow a trend than face uncertainty. We've been conditioned to avoid discomfort at all cost, even when it's the very thing that could set us free. Ask yourself, when was the last time you did something hard on purpose? Not because you had to, but because you chose the challenge, for growth, for grit, for pride. Every time we avoid struggle, we hand over more of our autonomy. We forget how to sit in uncertainty. We forget how to solve problems. We forget how strong we used to be. And in that forgetting, something terrifying happens. We become easy to manage, not because someone forced us, but because we stopped resisting. So here's the truth no one tells you. If life is always easy, you're probably not the one in control. There's a quiet tragedy playing out in our world. It's not on the news. It's not in headlines, but it's everywhere. It's the death of meaning. In a society obsessed with speed, novelty, and pleasure, we've forgotten how to live for something greater. We've been sold the lie that meaning is optional, that fulfillment is a luxury, that you can live a good life by simply feeling good all the time. But here's the truth. You can't binge watch your way into purpose. You can't scroll your way into peace. True meaning demands effort. It demands sacrifice. It demands that we feel deeply even when it hurts. But in our quest to avoid pain, we've created a world that numbs us instead of growing us. We've filled every empty space with entertainment. We've replaced spiritual hunger with digital candy. And what's the result? A generation more connected than ever, yet lonelier than any before. More options than ever, yet more paralyzed by choice. More freedom than ever, yet more lost. Philosopher Søren Kierkegaard called it the despair of the aesthetic life, when we live for surface-level beauty, comfort, and pleasure, but inside we feel a growing emptiness, a soul hunger that nothing external can satisfy. To live with meaning is to wrestle, to commit, to pursue something that might take years, decades, even a lifetime. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, but it is real. So ask yourself, what are you committed to? What would you suffer for? What would you build even if no one applauded? Because meaning doesn't appear. It's chosen, it's earned, it's lived. And if we want to reclaim it, we must walk away, not from joy, but from the illusion that joy is all we need. Let's be honest, breaking free from the system, from the pursuit of pleasure, from the addiction to ease, it's not going to happen overnight. But freedom rarely comes in grand revolutions. It starts in the smallest moments. It begins the moment you choose to sit in silence instead of reaching for your phone. The moment you walk without headphones and let your mind wander. The moment you feel boredom and don't escape it. You explore it. These may seem trivial, but in a world engineered to own your attention, every act of intentionality is revolutionary. Start with questions. What do I do on autopilot every day? What pleasures do I run to when I'm anxious, lonely, or bored? What discomforts am I avoiding that might actually be leading me somewhere deeper? Then make changes. Remove one app from your phone. Schedule 30 minutes a day for something that doesn't give you instant results. Journal. Reflect. Sit with your thoughts. Reconnect with your inner voice, the one the noise has silenced. And most importantly, choose discomfort on purpose. Because discomfort is where strength grows, where grit is forged, where character is built. Every time you choose the long road over the shortcut, you're retraining your brain to pursue substance over stimulation. And every one of those small victories adds up. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be awake. The world doesn't want you to be awake. It wants you to be entertained. But if you've made it this far in the video, then something inside you is stirring. A part of you is ready to stop being a consumer and start being a creator of your time, your focus, your life. And that, my friend, is the first step toward real, irreversible freedom. So what's the real secret? What truth lies buried beneath the noise, the marketing, the shiny promises of happiness on demand? It's this. True freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want. It's the strength to choose what actually matters. Let that sink in. We've been taught that freedom means no limits, that we should follow every craving, satisfy every urge, avoid every hardship. But that kind of freedom is a mirage. It leads to emptiness, not empowerment, to chaos, not clarity. The real kind of freedom, the kind that liberates your soul, comes not from indulgence, but from discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It's self-respect in action. It's saying no to the distraction so you can say yes to your purpose. No to the fleeting so you can build the lasting. No to being controlled so you can create. Think of the people you admire most, the artists, the visionaries, the leaders. They didn't get there by following pleasure. They got there by following a deeper call, by enduring pain, boredom, failure, and rising anyway. Pleasure feels good, but purpose feels right. Pleasure is instant, but meaning endures. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the horrors of the Holocaust, wrote that the key to human resilience was not pleasure, but purpose. He said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." And that's your task now, to find your why. To build a life so rich in depth, integrity, and intention that momentary pleasure becomes just a footnote, not the story. So, what matters to you? Not what feels good, but what feels true. Because once you know that, once you feel that, no distraction can ever hold you again. Here we are, the end of our journey, and perhaps the beginning of yours. You now see the trap, the pleasure prison, the seduction of comfort, the illusion of happiness that's offered like candy, sweet, addictive, and ultimately empty. You've seen how modern life has made it easy to live distracted, disconnected, and disempowered. But now you also know it doesn't have to be this way. You can live with purpose, with clarity, with power. But only if you choose to, not once, but every single day. When you wake up tomorrow and your phone calls out first, pause. When you're tempted to numb your stress with scrolling, breathe. When you feel the ache of boredom, sit with it. Let it teach you something. These are not small moments. They are acts of rebellion in a world that profits from your sleepwalking. You may not control the world, but you can control your mind. You can reclaim your focus. You can choose what you feed your soul. You can choose what kind of person you are becoming. And make no mistake, every choice is shaping that person. So choose boldly. Choose discomfort if it means growth. Choose silence if it brings clarity. Choose the path that may be harder, but is yours. This is your life, not the algorithms, not the cultures. Yours. If this message stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Do something, write, reflect. Take a walk without distraction. Have a real conversation. Create something meaningful. Let this be the day you wake up. And if this video moved you, share it. Not for clicks or views, but because maybe someone else is ready too. Ready to break the illusion, ready to live awake. Remember, the chains are invisible, but they can be broken. The world is loud, but your inner voice is louder if you listen. The path is steep, but it leads to freedom. The choice is yours. Choose wisely, choose purpose, choose to live.